Well,
Hey, how's it going, Cam? Welcome in. I am Nick, as you already know, and I'll be doing your interview today. Would you please introduce yourself?
thank you. Hey, Nick, and hey, everybody from Nick's class. Hello, the professor that's hosting the class with Nick and everyone else. My name is Coach Cran Cam, and I am also, but my first name I go by is Cam. So, Nick, I'm honored to be here, and thank you so much for having me be part of this class project. So, let's go ahead with the questions.
Awesome. We'll dive straight into it. So, what inspired you to become a personal development coach, and how did you start your journey in this field?
So, what got me interested in becoming a personal development coach was over the years when I was younger, I grew up extremely insecure. Believe it or not, a lot of times, like when people join my community, they think I was like born confident, but that was not the case. I was a big people pleaser, huge validation seeker, and approval seeker. So, what got me into the space is that I would have a lot of conversations with my father about how do I become successful? How do I become rich? How do I find a quality woman to marry and start a family with? So, when I would get into these kind of conversations, it always made me curious. And I believe like when someone is entering the how to field, like how to do something, it all starts from like watching those kind of videos. So, go on YouTube. I would like look up to my dad, other mentors in my life, and then what happened is, as I became more confident in myself, I felt like I could deliver the message of helping guys all around the world, which also, funny enough, like there are even women that will reach out to me and ask me for help on how to date men, how to find healthy relationships. But my primary clientele is men. And you're actually in our community as well. So the community has been good to you so far.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Uh, Enjoy everything that you do. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
So next question. That was great, by the way.
Thank you.
Can you describe your coaching philosophy and approach to personal development?
My coaching style would definitely be straightforward, no beating around the bush. And as I say to you and to all the other clients of our community, that um, it's all about being authentic. So in my space, I'm often I'm clumped in with guys who are life coaches, mindset coaches, inner healing coaches, or even dating coaches. So the thing is, in our community, Nick, and what our community embodies. But for those who are not familiar, we have these weekly calls that guys come up to us for professional development coaching, for finance coaching. I mean, Nick, you're our mentor. You grew in our community as someone who's just a regular client, and then I saw that you were growing so much at such a young age, which I'm jealous in a good way for you, because I wish when I was your age, I was like growing like the lengths that you were. So when you get to my age, man, I'm in my 30s. When you get to my age, you're going to be crushing it. And you already are crushing it. You're just going to be doing it even more. So our philosophy is just about being authentic and helping guys conquer their ego. There's a lot of things that are holding back guys in their head. They're oftentimes, again, validation seekers, approval seekers, and people pleasers. And what we want to do is help guys, excuse me, help guys get out of that and become more fulfilled with who they are and put their peace and happiness above everything else. Because if they're happy, the woman in their life is going to be happy. The people around them are going to be happy. Their social circle, their network of men and women around them is going to be a lot happier too. So that's what we pride ourselves in. We don't believe in manipulation, being deceitful, and lying to other people. And yeah, that's my coaching style, my philosophy.
Awesome. I love that.
Thank you.
Next up, what are some common challenges or obstacles your clients face, and how do you help them overcome these?
So definitely uh the three insecurities I was mentioning. I would say also we have this online class that we do in our community called the Ego Detox, which helps guys pinpoint what exactly about their ego has been holding them back. So there are about four ways I believe that the ego can hold you back. Let's say one of them that I can talk about on this call is the scarcity mindset. That's something that I'm sure your classmates they already have heard and the professor is familiar with as well. The scarcity mindset is like one of the worst ways that holds guys back. Oftentimes when guys come on our weekly calls or they get on one-on-one calls with me, or they go to my boot camps where you have been at my boot camps before, where we met in person, we shake hands and we get to work, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I see a guy who has a scarcity mindset, it's really sad to see it, because a lot of times guys, they downplay their value. And let's just say they approach a woman that they feel is like the most compatible for them and it doesn't work out. They feel like the world is over. My girlfriend who's here on the computer screen with me, when before I met her, I approached multitude of women. And there were times where I thought I was being authentic, but I really wasn't. I was afraid of sharing the truth of who I was because I was ashamed of myself. And I feel like a lot of guys go through that. Even women go through that too. And that's why a lot of times women are in disastrous relationships with men that just don't really value them and don't honor who they are. So when I see a guy that's like that in a scarcity mindset, we tackle why that's happening. And it always has to do with something in the past. It could be from unhealed trauma. Unhealed trauma turns into emotional baggage. And then the guy who still has that burden on his shoulders will put that on other people without even realizing it. And sometimes it's actually even consciously that they'll realize it. So it's a subconscious and conscious aftermath of unhealed trauma. So definitely the scarcity mindset is a challenge that all clients face when they join our community.
Awesome. I really like that response. That's
Hmm.
that's excellent. Um, can you share a success story when your coaching significantly impacted a client's personal or professional life?
Oof, there's so many of those. We have so many client testimonials on my YouTube channel, so many client testimonials on our ego detox class. I would say one that's definitely the one that stands out the most for me off the top of my head would be one of our clients is a doctor. He has his own private practice, very successful. He actually resides in the same state that I live in. What happened is I met him at a club. I was just socializing, looking for new people to connect with. And then I see this guy by himself and he looks really sad, Nick. Like he's just like on his phone and he's also kind of looking around, waiting for someone to approach him. I go up to him and I say, "Hey man, are you okay? You look a little sad right now." And the guy says, I'm okay. I'm just like, I'm just chilling. I'm like, "Well, have you talked to people tonight? You look like you haven't really socialized." He said, "I just come and support these networking events, but I don't really like talk to anybody." So we chatted about that, asked him why. What ended up happening is we got on a call. I believe it was like a day or two later, and he signed up to join my community. He went to one of my boot camps, which was in Las Vegas. And the great thing about our boot camps, Nick, is that the brotherhood that you get, the camaraderie feel that you achieve from meeting other guys who are in the same space as you, even though everyone has their own different trajectories, Nick, we're all very similar at the end of the day. So
Mm-hmm.
after this boot camp, he went on Bumble, was on a dating app, scrolling, swiping. He built a lot of confidence after the boot camp and he felt more comfortable being a man, being authentic. He ends up matching with this woman who was, I think, about 5 years younger than him. He's in his mid age. She's in her mid age as well. And they both don't have children. And they linked up with each other. She's also a very successful woman financially, career wise. They got married within less than a year of dating each other. So I posted that in our private channel that you're a part of in our Telegram group, where he set the record as the first guy in our community to get married. And I don't hear from him anymore because obviously he's happily married. So he doesn't need to be, I guess, in our community because he has everything he needs. I'm sure he's focusing on a family. So I'm very proud of him. And, his story is actually available. Um, Not when he got married, but like how he felt after a boot camp. It's on my YouTube channel as well. His name is Dr. Rob.
Dr. Rob, crushing it. Um, what role do you believe mindset plays in personal development, and how do you help clients cultivate a positive mindset?
Okay, that's a very good question. So mindset is extremely important. It's everything. So a lot of times in my space of coaching, like online coaching, the dating guys, the mindset guys, well, let's go actually with the dating guys because this tends to be the rhetoric that if you have your clothes on point, you have your money on point, you got your career on point, like all the girls are going to come knocking at your door saying like, "Please marry me, be in a relationship with me." And that's not how the world works. So there are a lot of guys out there that are better looking, taller, have more money than whoever's watching this right now, right? But that doesn't mean your value is justified through external things. Your value is all about how you think up here. I'm only 5'9". I'm not the most successful coach in the world. And I'm definitely not the most jacked guy in the world, but I feel like I'm 6'5". I feel like I'm a millionaire. And the woman that I have in my life is the most beautiful woman in the world, the most compatible woman I've ever met. And we're going to get married. It's going to happen. Even though I haven't proposed, we already know, we've talked about it. We want children. She's already met my family. I met her family. Things are going very well. So mindset, Nick, was like, even during my most horrible moments where I approached, let's say 20 girls, they all said, no, thank you. And I felt like, wow, the world's going to end. Nobody likes me or whatever. I still visualized that I would see exactly what I wanted. So I attracted my girlfriend in my life. I attracted clients like you into my life, guys that are educated, guys that have money, guys that are ambitious, right? You talk about your personal life a lot on our Monday calls and on our mentorship calls that we have with like the other guys who are mentors. And every time I hear things that come from your side, I always feel so inspired. Now, going into like what helps my clients grow, it's really the visualization thing. So a lot of times, like our calls are not just about like, here's how you can approach a girl confidently. It's more about like, what do you want your life to be at the end of the day, right? We use a lot of visualization. And then, the times that you've been at my boot camps in person, we've done a lot of visualization. Remember, we were in Arizona, we were at that lake, we were having trauma clearing sessions. I talked about my traumas, you talked about your traumas, the other students did, the videographers even talked about their traumas. That's how like powerful our community is. So what
Mm,
happened is like we talked about, guys, what do you want that dream girl to look like? How much money do you want to have? What do you want your business to be? What do you want life just to look like going forward? So visualization is definitely something that we implement, has been extremely beneficial to our clients.
mm, man, that I love that.
I hope the students are fired up right now and the professor is fired up from this too.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. Good group of people.
Thank you.
All right.
Good.
How do you stay current with the latest trends and research in personal development to ensure your coaching remains effective?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I've never even been asked that before on a podcast. So how do I research it? Well, what I do is there's a couple of ways. First, I can go on any social media platform and see what people are inquiring about. For example, I'm a big proponent of TikTok. And TikTok has this algorithmic tool you can use to help your content go more viral. And I get to see what people are requesting to view and for content creators to create. As a result, every time I'm talking and recording content and publishing it to the world, I get feedback. So one of my most recent videos I made was about it was actually directed really for women, but it also applies to men who are watching it. And it was something about, if your man, ladies, the caption was like, ladies, if your man is not doing this, like avoid him or something like that. Where I say that, like, if ladies, if the guy that you're in a relationship with, or if you're dating and he's not applying himself in a specific way, then you should reconsider staying with him, or just talk to him and be direct with him as to why you feel he's not stepping up to be a man. So I got a lot of responses from women saying like, wow, Cam, this is really good. Or a woman would tell me like, hey, I'm in a situationship where I was talking to this guy for 9 months and he never asked me out on a date. So when women are even responding to me and telling me that like they're not happy with what they're dealing with, and I'm giving them advice and I'm giving them response videos on TikTok, which is one of the coolest features TikTok has to really engage with your audience, that's how I know things are going well. And then a great proponent, a great resource for me to know that things are going in the right direction is my girlfriend. So when I'm talking to her and I'm sharing some wisdom, we have a lot of breakthroughs together as a couple. I think every day we have a breakthrough actually. So every time I'm talking to her and we're bringing unity closer and closer for us one another, I know things are current. I know things are on top, because if my relationship is a good representation of like how things are going between us, it's definitely going to mean the same for the clients too. And then when I'm on the social media world talking about how healthy my relationship is, guys and girls, they can relate to that and they want to believe in it too.
I love that.
They're great questions.
Oh yeah. Thank you. What techniques or tools do you find most effective in helping clients helping clients set and achieve their goals?
Techniques and tools. So besides the visualization thing that we talked about previously, I would say the biggest one would be trauma clearing. Trauma clearing, we do we do an exercise called the dog energy exercise. So a lot of times, like guys, the way they grew up, they're afraid of life, they're afraid of asking for things, they're afraid of being, to make it simple for the students and the professor to understand, a lot of times these students lack proactivity and assertiveness. And I want everyone to be clear on this recording of us, that we're not telling guys, right, Nick? We're not telling guys to be manipulative, to be mean, to be arrogant, to be rude to society. All we're saying is honor your value. So the trauma clearing exercises we do, besides dog energy, which is incorporated under the umbrella of trauma clearing, we do a lot of like, digging into your past and seeing, why do you judge yourself so much, right? I use it even on myself, and it allowed my relationship to stay intact. And it allows me to have more humility in my life, as opposed to being this arrogant guy who is just rude to the world and rude to himself. So dog energy exercise has been the most helpful. So what we'll do is, like, we'll stand in front of the guy, we'll square up in a face-to-face position, and we'll tell him, like, what is it that you want in life? And the guy will say, let's say in it, like, oh, I want to have a wife. And we're like, no, what do you want in your life? Oh, I want a wife. Say it louder, right? So we scream it out to the universe that this guy wants to have a wife, and we'll say, okay, great. What are you going to do about it? Let's just say your dream wife is here right now. What's the first thing you're going to say? Hello. That's it. Hello. That's what you say to your dream wife when you first meet her. So it ends up being really humorous, but also very inspiring and impactful. I feel like you're having like memories from the past when we used to do those exercises, right?
Definitely. Definitely. Oh man. No, that's a great response. I like that.
Love it. Appreciate it, man.
How do you measure progress and success in your coaching program?
Progress and success. Oh, that's a good one, because that's more on like an accountability question. So the way that we can measure it is, so we have a mentorship program built within the Grand Mail. I didn't even mention the name of my company, the Grand Mail. What we have built within the Grand Mail is what's called the Big Brother mentorship. So you, Nick, and as of now, two other guys at the time of this recording are Big Brother mentors. So what it used to be was that I would just coach the guys. Either it was digitally, online like Zoom, or would be in person at a boot camp. But then I realized that that wasn't enough. I feel like the guys need to be face to face with more people, or have more coaching sessions, but it doesn't have to be just me. And a lot of times, like when guys are talking to me, even though I'm very easy and approachable to talk to, they get intimidated that, let's say, they're not doing enough. They feel like I'm going to yell at them or something like that. But it's just, I have high standards for myself. So I have high standards for my clients too, as I did for you. And dude, you did a whole grand slam out of it. Like you just like took it and went above and beyond. So when guys are talking to, when my clients are talking to guys like you, Nick, that's a great way for me to track, how are they doing? So let's just say, like in our agreements that we have, is that if the little brother who wants to work with you as their big brother, if they're, let's say, being insubordinate, like they're not doing the assignments. For example, you have a professor, your professor is watching this with the classmates. If your professor notices that the assignments and the thesis statements or whatever is going on is not being completed, then you get marked a bad grade, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't pass the class. You don't get to graduate from college, right? I got my master's degree in business, focus on entrepreneurship. I know what it's about too. So we have the same school of thought, no pun intended, same school of thought with our community, with the Grand Mail. If you're insubordinate, you're tardy, you're absent from calls, you're not being proactive, you don't even have a specific dress code. Like that's one of the cool things I like, Nick, is that you wear professional attire all the time on your calls, and you require the students to either have business casual or professional attire. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And if the students are not wearing that in our community and they show up in like a plain white tee or something like that, that is inexcusable. And that is absolutely like end the Zoom call. And then you let me know what's going on. So then at that point, if I see that the student's not picking up the slack, they can get on a call with you, because getting on a call with you, Nick, is extremely privileged. Nick doesn't just get to offer his time for free. Like, they have to work and they have to be accountable to get on a call with you. So that's the way that we get to track, is through the Big Brother mentorship as well.
Great. Great. Yes, and I agree, the accountability, very important.
Mhm.
Last question that I have prepared. What advice would you give to someone who is just starting their personal development journey and feels overwhelmed by the process?
Okay. When I give the advice on how to not feel overwhelmed, I talk about just compartmentalizing things. So, for example, let me just start off with this. Like I said, I was not born confident. I was not born like, being comfortable talking to girls, asking guys to help me with things. But what I did do is I saw the bigger picture. I want to be successful. I want to have enough money to retire, to be financially free. I wanted to have a girlfriend to eventually turn to a marriage, have a family, have children. I always saw the big picture. You got to love the process of becoming a confident, authentic, sturdy, in the mind and physically, if you want, type of man. You got to be obsessed with the process. Because for me, like, I don't focus on, okay, once I make like, a certain amount of money in my business, I'm successful. I don't think like that. The way I think is like, there are guys in the world right now that need help. Right now, before I became the founder of the Grand Mail, my mindset was, I got to learn what is holding me back. And the moment I learn about it, I'm sharing it with other people. That's really what got me into the spirit of coaching, was just like sharing with people. So I always created this platform foundation for myself, that it's okay to share with people about your success and what you learned. So I always start off with something. What is the biggest bottleneck in my life right now? At one point, it's approaching a girl. And another point is asking how to get a raise at a job. I wish I had you back then to help me out with that. So another bottleneck of mine would be how to be more influential. I mean, one of the things that I remember, this was a big one. One of my huge bottlenecks from my early 20s was that I was very thin skinned. So anytime, let's say, a person criticized me, whether it was constructive or it was just to be, I guess, deconstructive, it was it would really hurt my feelings. And I would be all like, like, oh my God, I'll get really emotional about it. So that was me throughout my whole life until I got to my early 20s. And then I remember my dad was telling me, Cam, you got to work on this. You're not going to survive in the business world. You're just not going to survive like this if you're very emotional like that. So I got it together. I learned the tools and tips that I need to do. And then it'll go to another bottleneck. So focus on whatever's the biggest obstacle that's holding you back, and then you'll be fine. Just think of it as like there's different segments. Like, it's like if you ever watch like Dragon Ball Z as a kid, I don't know if any guys or girls watch Dragon Ball Z in your classes, but like the way I look at it, it's like there's a saga, right? This would be like the approaching woman saga. The next saga is how to get your money up. The next saga is like how to be more confident at the gym. The next one is how to find that one job you've been looking for. Things like that. Everything's like a saga. And you can do things simultaneously, by the way, too. You don't have to be like, okay, for the next 60 days, I'm going to focus on my money. In the next 60 days, I'm going to focus on dating a girl. You don't have to do that. Like, a lot of times guys, they can multitask, but if you're obsessed with the journey, obsessed with just self-development, you're Gucci. You don't have nothing to worry about.
Mm. Oh man. So like that was very profound, that entire interview. I really appreciate your time, Cam. This was excellent, and I learned a ton about you, your business, and what you stand for. I really appreciate this. Great job. And yeah, thank you so much. Do you have any final last thoughts that you'd like to share before we wrap up?
Yeah, absolutely. So I just want to say it's an honor and a privilege to be on the Zoom call with you, Nick. Thank you so much for thinking of me to do this interview with. I want to give a shout out to the professor for creating this assignment. I think this is a great assignment. The questions that were being asked here were extremely fun to answer. It brings me so much joy to see that you're growing so much as a human being, and to see that your classmates get to see our kind of conversation, what we talk about in our community. Shout out to all the students who are completing this assignment as well. I hope everyone had a great experience doing it. I just want to give I just want to express my gratitude. And for anyone who's interested to learn more about me, again, on the internet, my name is Coach Rand Cam. And then if you can like understand like on the audio, like what my name is, just ask Nick. Nick will talk about our community and what we do. But yeah, just thank you so much for this opportunity, man. I'm just, really grateful.
Awesome. Well, that wraps it up. Thank you so much again for your time, and go out and crush it.
All right. Thank you, Nick. You too, man. And shout out to everybody else. Go crush it, guys.